Hey there, Legal Tea listeners. This is your host, Jenny Roselle. Welcome back for another episode of Legal Tea. Today's topic is a current trend, something going on in the current time that I've stumbled across and is pertinent to my little estate and elder law world. Today's topic involves your online/digital presence and specifically your passwords that a majority of us have in our brains and our brains only. But what happens when you pass away? Will your loved ones get locked out because they don't know your password? Will the company even let them gain access? Even if they do, are they going to give your loved ones lots of headaches in doing so? Now, what if you worked on this whole password issue now, while you're living, to set things up beautifully so things are nice and easy on your loved ones when you pass away? And that is what today is about, my friends, so let's dive in. Just as a heads up, this episode is inspired by an article published on June 26, 2022 in the Wall Street Journal by Dalvin Brown, titled, How to Pass On Your Passwords When You Die. Well, there sure is no question what that article is about. I'm going to break up this episode into a few subtopics. First, we're going to talk about legacy tools and legacy contacts. Second, we're going to talk about password storage websites. And third, we're going to talk about when neither apply, when there is no such thing as a legacy tool or contact, and maybe you don't want or have a password storage website to control and manage your passwords. Before I dive into, I'm going to give a special shout out to a company here in Indiana, but she can help clients all over, not just in Indiana, called Rhea Services, which can help you put all this kind of information together and way, way more. She has a process that will help you collect and organize your essential information so you are prepared for life's unexpected events. Check out her website, people, rheaservices.com. Rhea is R-H-E-A services.com. And we'll talk a little more about her later. So let's talk about first, legacy tools and legacy contacts. There are a few big name companies that are actively doing this, namely Apple, Google, and Facebook. When companies like these allow for you to designate contacts, legacy contacts, that is certainly not providing the contact your password at that point, but grants that person to have access to your account and its data at your passing. Further, Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, actually allows your legacy contact to choose whether your Facebook profile remains on the platform, but as like a in memory of type of account, or whether the profile actually gets deleted. The Wall Street Journal by Brown provides instructions on how to set up a Facebook legacy contact. According to this article, you go to Settings and Privacy, then to Settings, then to Personal and Account Information, then to Account Ownership and Control, then to Memorialization Settings, then finally to choose Legacy Contact. That's a lot. Like Meta and Facebook, Google has a similar thing in process. Google has something called Inactive Account Manager, which allows you to decide what happens to your account and its data after you pass away. And going through this process allows you to designate not only who can receive the account and data, but also how much they receive. Like maybe you just want them to get access to your emails, but not your videos or photos. And you can control these things now. To get Google's Inactive Account Manager set up, go to myaccount.google.com, go to More Options, then to Make a Plan for your digital legacy. Boom, there you go. And Apple. We should have known Apple would have a solid process. So Apple has a similar process. They have the option to add legacy contacts who can access your iCloud account after you pass away, which could really come in handy to have access to your iCloud account. Speaking of Apple, no offense to my Android users, but the article didn't touch on Android. You can set up a legacy contact on an iPhone by going to Settings, then Password and Security, then Legacy Contact. So like I mentioned earlier, if you do not do this, according to this article, actually Apple requires a court order in order to provide someone with the authority to access your Apple ID and its data. And that's just going to require extra headache and time. So let's just do a legacy contact, shall we? And as technology becomes more and more in our world, and we already feel like we're so reliant on technology, but I think I'm smart enough to know that we haven't seen anything yet. I think, personally, technology is just getting started, in my opinion. So anyways, as technology becomes more prevalent, this topic that we're talking about today will become a bigger and bigger issue. And I'm going to guess more and more companies will start offering legacy tools to enlist legacy contacts. So it's something to definitely stay up to date on. The second topic that I mentioned that we're going to be talking about today is password storage websites. With this episode being about passwords and what happens to them when we pass, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about password storage websites. And just a couple of examples are 1Password and LastPass. These websites, as the Wall Street Journal explains, store your current logins and help track and create if you want. They help store and track your passwords for any and all accounts you link to their website. Well, these types of websites allow you to designate what they call digital heirs, which are the individuals who can access this website, which houses all the login information, after you pass away. So a little tidbit the article shares that I thought was brilliant, and it's not earth-shattering, but I could see it being so easily overlooked, is that whoever your legacy contact is going to be, they really need to have access to your phone and the phone's passcode too, because so often places anymore have the two-factor authentication process, which ends up sending a number or code to your phone. And if they can't get on your phone to see the code, they're not going to be in great shape. So finally, the third topic that we're going to talk about is the topic that many fall into. It's the, hey Jenny, even though you're telling me I should, I'm probably not going to put a legacy contact on these accounts. And Jenny, that password storage website, that sounds scary, or that sounds like too much. And let me be crystal clear. Both the legacy contact idea and the password storage websites are great things to do. But it's kind of like estate planning. Some people will do it and be better off for it, and some people won't do it, even though we shout from the rooftop to do it. Honestly, I would almost guess this topic, this category, is what many or most fall into. So let's spend some time on it, and let's talk about other things that you can do that will still get you ahead. First, to make all this easier, you could simply use a company like Raya Services, the one I discussed earlier, that helps you pull this information together and put it together in a lovely little fashion. Instead of you fumbling through all of this, because goodness sakes, I'm sure I would fumble through it too, Raya Services can actually guide you through it. That's what she does, and she does it so well. And like I said earlier too, she can help anyone across the country. So even if you're an out-of-state Legal Tea listener, if you're interested, check out our website, Raya, RHEA services.com, and you will not be sorry. Second, on things you can do that will still get you ahead is to update your estate plan. And I get it. This totally seems self-serving, but hear me out. This whole topic of digital assets, digital presence, and passwords is becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And my little estate and elder law world is slowly coming with the times. Like just a few years ago, the Revised Uniform Fiduciary Access to Digital Assets Act, say that 5 times fast, that act was passed just a handful of years ago. Here in Indiana, since that is where this podcast is based from, it took effect here in 2016. So this new law allows individuals like power of attorney, personal representative, trustee, guardian, to access your digital property should you become incapacitated and or upon passing. Because this was passed pretty recently, if you have an estate plan, but it was created before, these powers are not going to be included. So perhaps this is enough of a reason for you to update them to bring them with the times. Or if you do not have an estate plan, do make sure when you #do your estate plan, whatever attorney you're working with includes digital assets that this act now affords your designated people. This will at least give them a leg to stand on to access online things. Would the legacy contact thing work better? Probably, yeah, because then they'd be following the company's process. But if you don't, at least you're equipping your designated people and your documents with these powers. That will help. That will certainly not hurt. Lastly, on things you can do that will still get you ahead. If you don't do the legacy contact thing or password storage website thing, it sounds obvious, but simply be proactive about equipping your person with things to succeed. You know, oftentimes in meetings, this conversation comes up. So I hear clients say, hey, if something happens to us, there's a little red book in the top drawer of my desk in my office that has all my passwords, or something similar, right? Making sure your designated individuals in your documents know where this little red book is, or whatever your version is of the little red book, that is so critical. Is this the fanciest way? No, not at all. Is there a better, more tech-friendly way in doing this through a password storage site? Yeah. But you know what? Some people are resistant to things like this. You know, they like their paper calendar. They like to still balance their checkbook. They like to do things in just a less techish way. And I'm not bashing you all at all. You know, I carried a paper calendar for many, many years. Far beyond when people were starting to shift to online and cell phone calendars. But if you're like that, merely having your own little version of a little red book is far better than not having one. And make sure to leave your individual kind of not playing the least fun game, guessing game ever. Just don't do that. Pull that information together and get it in some organized fashion, and for the love, keep it updated. You know, I thought this whole digital asset, digital password, or passwords, online presence topic was so very timely. And it's actually probably a little, untimely. Like I probably should have done it this episode long time ago. Especially as more and more companies are equipping you with tools to make things easier on your loved ones when you pass. It seems many people probably have no idea these tools exist. So I was hoping to do this episode to sort of spread some awareness. But as always, if you have any follow-up questions about anything I just mentioned, feel free to reach out, legaltpodcast@gmail.com. Alrighty, next week's topic is on estate planning of the rich and famous. And on that episode, we're going to be talking about the fashion icon Audrey Hepburn. And what is your guess? Did it go well? Did it go bad? Just have to tune in next Tuesday, Legal Tea listeners, to find out. Until then, take care and be well.